Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of In the Huddle Sports Radio. This is episode 76. Obviously, we don't have Kenny C in the building today or Cam Jones, but we do have my man Zach, and we have a special guest that we had on our show a couple months ago. He was on, and we got him today to talk some sports, to talk some football with us, recapping Week 11 games that just took place yesterday. Well, how you doing? And Zach, how you doing?
Will, man, just wanted to say once again, thanks for having me on. It's always looking forward to every Monday recording the show with you and the boys. Unfortunately, Kenny C and Cam can't make it, but I really look forward to working with Will today. It's going to be good.
Zach, Leo, thank you so much again for having me on your show. And I know it's been a couple months ago that you had us on, that you had me on. And Leo, again, thank you again. Really appreciate it. And let's talk some football, outside of the Jets being a disaster. And, the Giants are really still in the thick of things right now in that NFC East. But it's a crazy NFC East, to say the very least, guys. So let's start it up. Let's talk some football.
And we might as well start it up right now with our first topic. The Chiefs got their revenge against the rival Raiders. I guess they was the one doing victory laps last night. 35-31. I want to know y'all fellas' biggest takeaways, reactions, starting with our guest, Will. What's your thoughts?
With the Chiefs, you kind of expected them going in there and wanting some revenge after their loss against the Raiders at Arrowhead Stadium. So right then and there alone, they went out there and they did it. Patrick Mahomes is, again, this MVP type of player. He's on right now, even though it's year 4 right now at this point in time for him. He's going to be going into the Hall of Fame, it looks like. It's early, but he's definitely one of those game-changing talents. You knew that this was going to be a high-scoring affair. Both defenses are not good. The Chiefs especially, they're ranked in the top 20 in defense, but they're on that bottom tier. And make no mistake about it, the Raiders right now, they had their chances to win this game yesterday, and Derek Carr is proving a lot of people wrong here in that sense, where nobody thought that Derek Carr would be in this situation right now. But John Gruden has lit a match underneath this guy's ass, and legitimately he has found a way to go out there and win football games. And listen, 2 years ago they had all those first-round draft picks from the Khalil Mack deal, and it's showing right now that they are right there, and John Gruden is showing why he is the face of this football team right now. It's not Derek Carr, it's John Gruden with the 10-year contract there, and he's coaching these guys right now. But, hey, they're in the thick of it right now in that playoff hunt, and the Chiefs right now are the class of that AFC West. But make no mistake about it, those guys definitely deserve it.
Yeah, I think looking at this game, you started off, I think the Chiefs, we know how good Patrick Mahomes is. I agree with what you said, Will, about him and the trajectory about him going into the Hall of Fame. I think he's more likely to become the GOAT quarterback than not make the Hall of Fame. And that's not something you say about every player. But at the same time, I wanted to talk about the Raiders, and that was really a couple of my main takeaways from this game. Number one, I feel like the Raiders are back. I feel like back in the 70s and the 80s, the Raiders were rivals with every team. They had some epic matchups with the Steelers and the Dolphins when Don Shula was the coach. And I feel like when the Raiders and Chiefs are playing each other in a big game like this, first time in a while, it was awesome. And as Will said also, this game had a chance to be bad because Andy Reid in his career, 18-3 coming off a bye. And as he said, the Raiders went into Arrowhead and won. So you expected the Chiefs to get up for this game. I think sometimes this season we've seen with the Chiefs that they kind of know how good they are. They kind of know they're the best team in football. And they'll sleepwalk through some games. They'll get a little bored. We saw, though, in Week 3 against the Ravens on Monday Night Football when they were an underdog and people were actually picking Lamar Jackson to beat Patrick Mahomes. We know what happened in that game. And I thought going into this game, it could have been ugly from a sense that, the Chiefs were motivated to play, and also the victory lap, that whole situation, and Andy Reid calling that concept out to his team. I thought this game had a chance to be really bad. But John Gruden had his team ready to play. Derek Carr is a Pro Bowl quarterback right now. And, Will, I remember a couple weeks ago we were talking about on this show about Coach of the Year, and we all were like Brian Flores. There's no doubt we all voted for him. I got to be honest with you. I'm going to change my vote to John Gruden for Coach of the Year because when you look at the way the Raiders are playing, people realize that in a COVID season, they moved to Vegas. This is their first year in Vegas. And if you remember historically, teams that move are usually trash in their first year. When the Rams moved to LA, Jared Goff's rookie season, that was just an ugly, ugly situation. And John Gruden, here's the other thing. I don't want to hear any other excuses from teams like the Falcons and the Jaguars and the Jets that are going to be hiring coaches, new coaches this offseason. I don't want to hear them, say, oh, it's going to take, all this time. We need our coach to get his guys in. Because look at John Gruden. He literally was out of football for 10 years. He then hires a TV analyst in Mike Mayock to be his GM who has no football front office experience whatsoever. And in 2 seasons, they have the team in a really good spot. And this is with guys that Gruden didn't even bring in himself, a.k.a. Derek Carr. And you're right, he's really lit a nice fire under him. I don't want to hear any excuses from those kind of teams. And I'm just so impressed with what the Raiders have been. And that was my main story and takeaway from last night. That was really impressive.
Yeah.
There's a few things that I want to bring up. Number one, Will, I'm gonna just let you know that me and Zach sometimes we get into a lot of heated debates on the show. So you see us, going at each other, just know it's out of all love. I know the brother for a couple years, and we just sports fans, and that's just how we act. We see the game a little bit differently. But first off, Zach, I'm gonna have to correct you where you're wrong right now. Right out the bat, when you talk about Mahomes potentially being the GOAT, calm down. You see Tom Brady behind my wall. That will always be the GOAT. All right, that will always be the GOAT. So I'm gonna let you know, that you was wrong on that. But looking forward to this game, last night, I would say a few things. If you're the Raiders, yes, sure, there have to be some optimism. You just went toe-to-toe with the Kansas City Chiefs. You knew that you was gonna get their best shot yesterday because of the victory lap after the game where you gave them their only loss. So we had to know that Kansas City on primetime was going to try to make a huge statement. Congratulations. You took their biggest punch and you only lost by basically came down to the final drive. And that's pretty much my biggest takeaway is that whoever had the ball last was going to win the game. It was just that competitive. The Raiders show that they're not scared of the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm pretty sure they'll be happy to see them again in the playoffs because they know they can beat them. It's just that Kansas City had the ball last. I'm pretty sure if it went to overtime, whoever won the coin toss would have won the daggone game too. I got to give credit to Derek Carr for stepping in there, one of the best games of his career, moving in the pocket, reading the blitz well, getting the ball out of his hands. He made a couple good throws. I like the throw that he threw to Nelson Aguilar, being aware of the situation, knowing that you was going to get a free play. And he was able to connect with Nelson Aguilar and just dink and duck. The Raiders show they can win in a lot of different ways. They can hit you with the short passing game, go on the road against the Browns, win a physical game, a low-scoring game. They show they can win high-scoring games like they did against the Chiefs before and be competitive in those high-scoring games. My only thing is, though, as much as there is optimism for the Raiders, you still got to be mad that you lost this game simply because you left Travis Kelce wide open on that play in that game-winning touchdown when the brother already was burning you for over 100 yards, 127 yards on a day. Why are you not focusing on where Travis Kelce is if you know he was going to get the ball? I don't know why he was so wide open. The brother could have said a prayer, amen, and got the catch. He was that wide open, and you have to be disappointed if you're the Raiders.
Yeah, there were some good points there when you said about the playoffs and possibly the Chiefs facing up against the Raiders in the playoffs. With the Ravens losing to the Titans yesterday, it's interesting because that actually moved the Raiders to the 7th seed and the Chiefs to the 2. So the season ends today. The Raiders and the Chiefs would play each other in the playoffs, and when you look at some of the other teams in the AFC, I don't think Andy Reid would really want to see the Raiders if you give him the choice between like them and the Browns, them and the Colts, them and the Titans. I don't think the Chiefs want anything to do with the Raiders right now. I feel like early in the game when the Raiders, who played well in the first quarter, they were really able to drive the ball down the field. I kind of felt the Chiefs for the first time this season get a little bit tight, maybe get a little bit antsy, and it kind of felt to me like maybe the Raiders just have these guys numbered.
When I look at the Chiefs and when I watched them go up against the Jets, they were lackluster and they were lazy and they didn't really know what was going on. And that's what happens when you go up against some pretty poor teams. You know, you get slapped in the face a little bit by teams that are hungry. The Raiders, on the other hand, you look at what happened with the Raiders yesterday, and they came out firing on all cylinders, and they didn't expect that. Same thing what happened back a couple weeks ago when they lost. But the thing is, though, the Chiefs, They know what's going on. They see it, and they're focused in on trying to make it back to the playoffs and try and be the first team since the New England Patriots to go for back-to-back Super Bowls here. But there's definitely a lot for sure. It's just like I said, for me, their defense has to step up more, and their secondary is, like I said, it's atrocious. But their front, the battle is won
in the trenches.
in the trenches with the offense and the defensive line. So, with that said, Kansas City's in good shape with their quarterback situation, but again, their defense just needs to step up here, and we'll see what happens coming down the stretch.
I mean, Derek Carr had all day. He had all day to throw the football. Yeah. And if you're the Chiefs, man, you do got to generate pressure because, all right, you know, the football guys, they give and they take. There's going to be games where it's going to be close games that you're going to win. The Chiefs won a lot of close games. If you're talking about the playoffs last year, being down by 10, being down 24-0 against the Texans, coming back, being down in the Super Bowl. This year, a lot of games they were down against the Chargers. You know, they won a close game against the Panthers. They won last night. You're winning these games, but that you cannot bank on that happening every time. There's going to be a time where a football is going to go the other way. This is a game of inches. So you have to generate pressure and you have to play better defensively. Otherwise, I don't think I'm going to take the field on this one when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Quick point I wanted to make about the Raiders. You guys mentioned it about the trenches, man. Like, not a lot of people will talk about this, but the Raiders' offensive line, that is just a group of absolute monsters. No one's going to talk about Rodney Hudson and the game he played, but he was an absolute monster. There's a lot of credit for that.